Hey everybody, welcome to week 2. Week 2's hashtag, all the lessons, the homework, everything, it's all about passion. So tweet it up, share it, post it, use the word passion this week because that's what we're all about. We're going to give you some tips and ideas on why it's important for you to understand your passion and how to identify it. And then next week, we're going to help you monetize the passion, which is the big question. Everyone wants to know how to make money from what they're passionate about. But first, we really need to reassess and identify what your passions truly are. A lot of people think they know what those passions are, but once you start really evaluating yourself and asking yourself tough questions with real honest answers, you end up finding out that maybe what you thought was your passion isn't exactly it. So I feel like what's passion for me is what gets me up in the morning, what gets you activated, what gets you excited every single day. What can you handle when things get tough? Because running your own business or having a great idea or living a more passionate life, whatever it is, there's always going to be some level of frustration and some level of friction. So the idea is to minimize as much as possible that amount of friction and frustration. And so if you can do something that you're passionate about and 95% of it or even 90% of it always feels great, but there's a small 5 to 10% that you have to deal with from time to time that's a pain, that's fine compared to if you're working or doing something else where it's like, oh, I love doing this 65% of the time, but 35 or 40% of the time I hate it. So you want to minimize that. And so going through these exercises and going through identifying your passion really helps you zero in on exactly what's important to you. So I think the first question you need to ask yourself with passion is why you want to do what you do, not what it is you do. So passion isn't about what. Passion is about the why. Ask yourself the why, not the what. I often tell people, even when you meet someone new for the first time, and maybe it's at a networking event or at a seminar, give this a shot. Try this out. If you're out in public and you meet some people, ask them why they do what they do. Not, so what do you do? What do you do is responds with a title most of the time. What you want to know is, why do you do what you do? You're going to get a much more in-depth and insightful answer, and that's going to really dig to why they're passionate about what it is they're doing, and that's going to really create a better conversation. So passion isn't what, passion is why. Keep that in mind. So I want to give you a couple of quick examples. The first one is a company called Double Dutchery. Now I met them at South by recently. I was speaking at South by and I was going over branding and some other tips and stuff, and I asked the question, what are you passionate about? She raised her hand and she says, I'm passionate about my new site. And I said, well, what is it? And she says, Double Dutchery is this online platform that's a clothing swap that's peer-to-peer for people to exchange gently used clothing and gently used sports gear that maybe their kids have outgrown. I was like, wow, that's like today's show centric. It sounds amazing. Like, that's a great idea. And she said, yeah, I'm really passionate about it. I said, but you're passionate about a website? I said, let's talk about this for a second. I said, if the website wasn't there, what would it be that you're passionate about? And she starts thinking, and she's like, well, and I said, just say what comes to mind. Like, don't hold back. Like, if you were at home right now, when you go through these exercises, don't hold back. Say what immediately comes to mind. So she starts saying, I like kids, family, I want to be known as a great parent, what did she say? Green. She was big into like E and green initiatives. That was important to her. And so she starts like rattling off these things. And I said, well, wait, so your website is a service that you're providing for families to exchange their clothing. I said, so you're in that sweet spot. I said, but your passion isn't necessarily Double Dutchery. Your passion is more that you want to help families save money, you want to help keep the planet greener, and you want to help parents be great parents. That's different than I'm excited about this website. The website is one component to her overall passion. So what I'm trying to get you to see is, like, when you know what your big passion is, you can start seeing different components of how you can execute that passion. It doesn't have to just be this one thing. What if the site doesn't work? What if the marketplace isn't ready for it? What if the business model isn't there to sustain it? What if you can't market it right? If you think in the big picture and you go through the exercises later on in our homework, you're going to have more than one way to generate revenue for your passion. We'll talk a lot about that in week 3, but I wanted you to hear that example because I don't want you feeling like you should be running around talking about just your app or just your website or just my cupcakes. If you love to bake cupcakes, there's probably something deeper about what your real passion is more than just baking cupcakes, is the point I'm making. So for me, some people may think that I'm passionate about tech, and that's true, but that's not all my passion. That's just one piece of the whole picture. When you really peel back the layers from Mario, he's all about helping to inspire people. Like, that's it. So if teaching people how to use technology better for fun, for families, for business, if that's one way of me helping to inspire others. But there's several other ways that I could do that in my passion, right? Which is one of the reasons why we're going for our talk show right now. So knowing the big why is critical, and it will really help you figure out exactly what you need to do, who you need to do it for, and how, so that you can actually take some action. So how do you think about your passion? This is the time where we're going to help you uncover all the ways to really help you identify what you really are passionate about. And trying to identify your passion can be tough because you might love a lot of things and really have a lot of interest. But this is why week 1 was so important. Hashtag get clarity. It's so critical for you to kind of have some clear thought when you go through this process, because in order for this to work, you cannot skimp on this. You have to be honest. You can't lie. You can't talk about what you want it to be. It has to be more factual. Like what you can't look into the future and say, I wish this were true about me. You have to be honest about what really motivates you, not what you want to motivate you. All right. So here are a couple of ideas or ways that can help you identify what you're super passionate about. If you're like kind of trying to figure it out, number 1, what books do you read? Are there particular books that you always seem to go to? If you walk into a bookstore, even if you don't do it all the time, if you do it mentally, if you walked into a bookstore, what section would you gravitate to? Are you going to read nonfiction? Are you going to read adventure? Or are you going to read science? Like, where are you going? Number 2, what magazines would you subscribe to, or do you already subscribe to? What websites do you constantly go to get more information and to read about? What do you share on social media? What's so compelling that when you share something, if it's something you could share consistently, what is that? What's that thing? And then also think about like what gets you angry? What gets you upset? Is there something that really seems to boil you enough that really what you should be doing is maybe thinking of a solution for what that thing is that's really getting under your skin? So I often tell people a lot of times, in order to grow as a person, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And so I want you to be uncomfortable with your honesty. You have to be overly honest with this process to really help you drill down to what you're passionate about. So use those techniques. Try to figure out the books, the websites, the things you talk about, the things you share, the things that you dream about doing. Those things can help you start to identify what you are truly passionate about. And look, we need to get this part right, because after we go through this, then we're going to start talking about monetization. And you don't really want to have to come back to passion because you weren't upfront and honest with yourself. Now, some of you may already know what you're passionate about and have a clear understanding of that, and that's great. So use this exercise and this time in our homework that's coming up to reassess, reevaluate, and just make sure that you're still in the sweet spot of where you think your passion is. Passions move, it shifts. It's not a static target. It can keep moving on you. So even if you are seasoned, this should be a good review for you right now. All right, so it's homework time. Week number 2, passion. You got to get your homework done. So the homework that we have for you, it's up on the Facebook group. So all you have to do is go to the Files tab right on the Facebook page. You'll see it there under week 2. Just download it. It's a worksheet. It's basically a series of questions. You're going to go through talking about what you are passionate about, writing this down. It's important that you write it down. If you want to type it up, that's fine too. But it's important that either way you get it out of you and onto the paper. We'll also go over things like your strengths and weaknesses. A lot of really good stuff is in there. We're going to help you identify what you really are skilled at and also start to use that information to prep you for week 3 on how you're going to monetize your passion. So the homework's there. Get to cranking on it. If you need help, make sure you use the Facebook group. Like, lean on each other. Don't just lean on me, lean on each other in the group to get through this homework. Connect with each other, email, call, make it happen. There's Never Settle Club. You got to get your homework done. Get some extra credit this week by uploading an image or some information about what you're passionate about. Like, the more you engage in the community, we're paying attention. We got prizes and giveaways. I'm not just sitting here with beat stuff for no reason. So we got some cool stuff for those of you that really get into this and engage with the community. So do that. Also, don't forget, at the end of this week on Friday, we have our Q&A live video Spreecast. So if you do get stuck throughout the week, don't worry. I'll help you with some one-on-one right then and there. And then that's it. Because week 3 is all about making money from your passion. So get to doing your homework. Hashtag Never Settle Club. Hashtag passion. Now go.